Hello, hi everyone, and thank you for attending this FinTrU Legal Reignite Programme webinar. My name is Paul Rainey, and I'm a Vice President here at FinTrU, working within the Legal Department and based in our Northwest offices. The goal behind the event today is to give you an insight into what a career working within the Legal Department at FinTrU looks like, and also to give you an insight into the FinTrU Legal Reignite Programme and how that can be a route into a career in our award-winning team. Candidates who are successful in applying for the programme will join FinTrU on the 10th of January 2022 and will undertake an intensive in-house training programme to fully prepare you for a legal role working within one of our growing project teams for a Tier 1 global investment bank. Candidates will also undertake the 4-week training programme with our in-house specialist team, and that will include your FinTrU induction, an overview of the financial services industry, our clients and relevant products, legal training with a focus on financial regulation and derivatives, and professional skills training to equip you for the dynamic environment of financial services. Further to the FinTrU Legal Reignite programme, you'll also be supported in your development with opportunities to undertake fully funded, industry recognised qualifications, such as the Investment Operations Certificate or IOC. Now, I'm delighted to say we're going to meet our panel of FinTrU legal professionals. But before we do, just a note that you can submit any questions that you may have as we go along in the chat function, and we'll get to those at the Q&A session towards the end of the panel. So firstly, Claire, if we could start with you, if you could give us a brief introduction to yourself and your career at FinTrU.
Yes, no problem. Thanks, Paul. My name is Claire Farry and I'm a legal associate here at FinTrU. I'm also co-chair of the True Colours Committee. I joined FinTrU during the pandemic in September 2020 and I was initially just working from home. I work as part of the BAU legal team for a global investment bank. I liaise daily with all internal and external stakeholders within the bank in order to negotiate and draft legal trading documentation as part of the New York-based team. That's everything from me, Paul, on that.
Brilliant. Thanks, Claire. And Jamie, can you share a bit about yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Paul. My name is Jamie MacDonald. I joined FinTrU in 2017 on a regulatory remediation project. I'm now a Vice President in the legal department, leading 15 negotiators in what we call a business as usual team. So we work alongside the New York fixed income division of a Tier 1 investment bank, and we work mainly with ISDA contracts, which are used for trading OTC derivatives, and we also negotiate a range of other trading documents.
Thanks, Jamie. And finally, Leanne, can you give us a bit about your experience? I think you joined just around the time of switching to working from home.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. Hi, everyone. So my name's Leanne and I joined FinTrU, as Paul said, back in February of 2020. I joined as an associate in the Northwest office, so just prior to the pandemic, which meant, I only had a few short weeks in the office before working from home. So I've been remote working ever since. I'm a negotiator on a remediation project, so the team I'm on currently consists of around 23 members, but this is rapidly growing, just given the success, I suppose, over the last 18 months or so. Again, I work with a New York-based Tier 1 investment bank, so massive exposure here at FinTrU to investment banks worldwide. My main role, I suppose, in the team would be managing my own caseload of negotiations. So it mainly consists of drafting credit support annexes, which are known as CSAs. And essentially, these are documents that fall under an ISDA within a derivative transaction. So yeah, I've been on this project from the start of my FinTrU career, thoroughly enjoying it. There's a lot of independence in this role, but then again, massive support from both the team managers and team members. So yeah, Paul, that probably covers a brief introduction to myself.
Great, thanks, Leanne. So now we have some questions for our panel about their different legal backgrounds that led to them joining FinTrU. And Claire, I'll start with you again, if that's okay. What was your background before joining the team, and how did FinTrU support you in making the move?
Yeah, no problem, Paul. I initially completed a law and criminology degree and I went straight into a law firm when I graduated. I've spent a few years specialising in property law, conveyancing within the firm, while also undertaking some litigation and debt work. My experience within the solicitors became a bit stale and monotonous, and I felt like I just wanted more. I'd heard about FinTrU, and when the opportunity arose for a vacancy within legal, I jumped at the chance. I knew I would be working for a groundbreaking, innovative company which heavily focused on culture and employee well-being, which was a big thing for me. I've been supported from day one by all members of staff at all levels through the avenues of informal chats, structured one-to-ones with my manager, pre-project training on the job, and I've also been afforded every opportunity to further my professional development through the excellent DNA programme. My transition to FinTrU was so smooth and unproblematic that I would seriously encourage everyone to join us.
Great, thank you, Claire. So I suppose the same question for you then, Jamie. What was your background that led to you joining FinTrU?
Yeah, so I studied law at Queen's and I was called to the Bar of Northern Ireland in 2012. I worked for about 4 years as a barrister, doing mostly civil and employment litigation. And then in 2016, I heard about this ambitious local company that was growing rapidly and it was looking to expand its legal offering. So I was definitely sold at that point on the idea of being part of that journey and part of the growth plans of FinTrU. And I joined in January 2017. So I guess coming from a traditional legal background, I had a lot to learn about the financial services industry and regulation, and then derivatives and the related contracts. But I've been supported every step of the way in terms of learning and development. It's great working with industry professionals internally within FinTrU and also within the client bank. And yeah, I've enjoyed every minute of it, and I really haven't looked back.
Thanks, Jamie. And finally, Leanne, what's your legal background?
Thanks, Paul. So I myself graduated with an honours degree in law back in 2015 from the Republic of Ireland. And then I moved to Belfast to work as an office assistant in a law firm, which focused mainly around litigation work. And I was there for just over 2 years. I suppose after that point, I kind of felt as though I'd progressed, insofar as I possibly could. And, although I loved the role, the career progression just wasn't there for me. And that's something, that's clearly laid out within FinTrU once you begin a career here. So yeah, after the 2 years as an office assistant, this is kind of when I stepped foot into financial services. I was very skeptical in the beginning just about making a career change. I suppose I was kind of worried, would it be the wrong move, or would I be wasting, I suppose, my legal studies and experience up to that point? And that mainly came down to the fact I didn't really realise what was involved in this industry. And then again, I suppose I had sat on the fence for probably 2 years while I was an office assistant, just with the idea that I've studied law. I now have to go to the institute and become a solicitor or a barrister. And again, that was down to the fact that I didn't realise, the opportunities out there in financial services for someone with a legal background. In previous roles, as I said, I kind of felt though I had reached my peak, just in terms of learning and career progression. But here at FinTrU, I've actually recently signed up to the IOC exams that Paul, you had mentioned there at the beginning, which FinTrU are funding. So the training doesn't kind of just end when you get your foot in the door or in them first few weeks. And the IOC exams, it's widely recognised qualification. So only going to help me further progress my career in this industry. So I suppose then what kind of finally led me to FinTrU specifically was, at the end of 2019, I had heard from, quite a few employees just about their experiences here and, the services they provide, the career progression, the company growth, the social aspect, all of that. So that's kind of when I applied then, and, since joining the training here, there's been great in-depth training around is the documentation, and I suppose specifically for me, the CSAs, which I deal with day to day. Yeah, and then the team, they're extremely supportive throughout. The training's fantastic. I think Claire had mentioned there. Between project specific training for your day-to-day role, and then there's that actual opportunity for optional training outside of that, like the IOC exams if you want to progress your career further. If it helps in your day-to-day role, FinTrU are going to help you achieve that.
Brilliant. Thanks, Leanne. We're now going to move on to our Q&A portion of the webinar, and just a reminder, you can submit any questions that you may have into the chat function and we'll get to those. But while those are coming in, I will share a pre-submitted question we've received via Eventbrite, which is, what prior experience best prepares you for the FinTrU Legal Reignite Programme? And what transferable skills best set you up? So again, Leanne, I'll come to you on that if that's okay.
Yeah, of course, Paul. So I suppose, yeah, my legal studies and experience up to this point have been fantastic for my role here. You know, I had previously gained so much experience within my legal background, mainly when it came down to, you know, delivering my research, whether that be, you know, written or orally, with different clients, specifically, you know, investment banks. And now in this case, you know, that's completely transferable with my role, you know, delivering key points in terms of, you know, drafting the documentation that I deal with, you know, clearly delivering rationale for that. So yeah, it comes down to, you know, legal rationalization and then, you know, thinking logically. I suppose, you know, there's so many skills that you gain in your legal experience that are transferable and definitely advantageous in this industry. I had previously, you know, drafted affidavits, different court documents, and you know that really requires, you know, clear thinking, problem solving, and real attention to detail. So you know that's been brilliant in my current role. You know, we can deal with real complex negotiations and documentations here. So you know that thinking logically and, you know, providing the relevant facts and the reasoning behind each negotiation and point that you're discussing. So a lot of that oral and written communication was brilliant. Yeah.
Right. Thanks, Leanne. And then one of the questions we've come in, I think Jamie touches on the information you give about your coming from a more traditional legal background. So it's what's it like to go from working as a solicitor or barrister to working with investment banks?
Yeah, so I guess first of all, it is quite a different environment, I would say. You know, at the bar, you're typically self-employed. You're working for a wide range of solicitors and lay clients, and I think you get used to quite a lot of uncertainty from one month to the next. And what I found when I joined FinTrU was that you get you know, a real routine and structure to your work. You know, the work is still complex and it's still varied, but you find that you know, the learning and development aspect of it is a lot more supported, and also I think find that you have a much clearer and better defined career trajectory somewhere like FinTrU than you might at the bar. And I guess as well, you know, at the bar, you're probably working independently a lot of the time, you know, quite often on your own. I guess that's quite a big change. You definitely have autonomy at FinTrU, but you're also working very closely within a team, and you're working very closely with experienced stakeholders within your client bank, and you get that opportunity to build those strong relationships there, and really learn a lot from them.
Perfect. Thanks, Jamie. A couple of questions we've had in that I'll probably put together and put in your direction, Claire, if that's okay. The first one is, what kind of level of autonomy do you have in your role as associate? So I think Jamie's kind of touched on that, but if you go into maybe a bit more detail on that. And the other is, what level of client interaction do you have?
Yeah, no problem, Paul. So coming in at associate level, you have a great level of independence as you're entrusted to deal with your own negotiations and manage your own caseload. You interact on a daily basis with all internal and external stakeholders. You're encouraged to liaise with the client and build a rapport and grow your network. You definitely are encouraged to work on your own initiative to further your own career and our business interests here at FinTrU. You can work independently, you can work as part of a team, a mixture of the both. FinTrU is all about people and partnership, and they trust their people to form and maintain effective partnerships with the client. So all in all, it's a very varied workload, but you do have your own independence and your own caseload to manage and further your career. So
great, thanks, Claire. And a question in, which is, can a candidate with a legal qualification from a different jurisdiction fit into this program? So I'll send that your way, Jamie, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think, you know, the general message is that we're interested in people that have legal experience, sort of any description. You know, what we're really looking for is sort of the transferable skills and general experience that brings. You know, we fully expect that people will be coming in without the financial services knowledge, but that's part of the program. And you know, the learning and development, the induction training, and the ongoing support after that is all built around you know, working with people with general legal experience who are bringing those transferable skills. So I think the answer to that is yes.
Great, thanks, Jimmy. So just to kind of finish up the webinar itself now, I would just like to ask all our panel members, why should someone apply for a career in legal with FinTrU? And again, Claire, I'll go to you first.
No problem at all, Paul. So the fact that you're attending this webinar already signifies that you want more from your current career. FinTrU can provide that for you. It's a diverse, innovative and culture-driven organisation. You already have the skill set required in order to succeed, which is easily transferable into your new role within FinTrU Legal. You will be continuously supported by all members of staff, both personally and professionally. There are multiple employee enrichment and career progression opportunities within FinTrU. FinTrU offer a very attractive remuneration and benefits package which goes above and beyond market standard. And the main reason, however, is that no day is ever the same. You'll never be bored and experience monotony. And you know, you need to have that little spark within your day, and hence the Legal Reignite. So that's it.
Great, thanks, Claire. And I see, sorry, we've just had another question that's come in there. Just about, as an associate, can you give an idea of the daily tasks that you complete? So maybe Claire, if you could maybe just give us a bit of an indication of some of the things you do in your day-to-day, if that's okay.
Yes, no problem. So day to day, I liaise with internal and external stakeholders. I deal with ad hoc client requests. I draft, negotiate and maintain legal trading documentation across a number of product lines. So we deal with ISDA, we deal with repurchase agreements, we deal with GIMSLAs. So there are many different avenues to go down. As I say, your workload is completely entirely varied and no day is ever the same. So it's always a new experience and it's continual learning. And as I said, there's great career progression opportunities. So you know, you can't really go wrong, and as I say, there's every opportunity to engage in training, internal and external, to completely hone up on your skill set. So it's very good. So I personally haven't looked back from I've joined. It's been a breath of fresh air joining FinTrU from the place that I came from before, and anybody with a legal background would be very much welcomed and they will go far.
Brilliant, thanks, Claire. And I think a couple more questions have just come in as well. One of which is, I come from a banking background and have a law degree. Does this fit in with what you're looking for? And another is, what are opportunities for MBA graduates at FinTrU? So again, Jamie, I think it kind of touches on your response that you gave earlier about graduates from different jurisdictions. So I'll maybe come to you in that, if that's okay.
Yeah, you know, it's not a question, I guess, of having to have a legal qualification in a certain jurisdiction. You know, it's not that we're looking specifically for legally qualified people, but it's more about that general legal experience. So we'd certainly want to consider applications and would encourage people to have a chat, you know, if they're not sure where they fit. And, you know, in terms of if you're coming with prior experience, but, you know, it's in banking, not law. Again, you know, I would just encourage you to have a chat with someone at FinTrU, you know, whether it's reaching out to someone on the panel or someone in the recruitment team, because, you know, there will be a role that fits, and it might well be in the Legal Reignite programme, or it might well be through one of our graduate academies. But, you know, if you have that conversation, we'll definitely be able to steer you in the right direction.
Yeah, that's great, Jamie. And I will pass on details at the end of the webinar today as well about how you can get in touch with the careers team at FinTrU with any additional questions that you may have. So I think we've gone through all the questions that we've been submitted to us today. So I'll just pass on to Jamie yourself about your reasons as to why you think somebody should apply for a legal career at FinTrU.
Yeah, of course. So I guess it's similar, you know, whenever I joined FinTrU in 2017, you know, it was definitely setting its stall out as a very ambitious company, you know, planning for this rapid growth. And you know, since then, you know, the company's added 800 or 900 employees, and it really isn't stopping now. So I think the first thing I would say is that you've got that opportunity to be part of what is a very, very ambitious company that has big growth plans, you know, with new offices just opened in Maastricht and New York, you know, adding to the Belfast and New York Northwest offices. So it's still a very exciting time to join. And I think this is a great opportunity for people to kind of to make that sideways move into, you know, a slightly different area of law. So it's a very niche and an in-demand area, the kinds of projects that we're working on, and we're able to offer that kind of comprehensive training and the ongoing learning and development support as well, which I think is pretty unique in the industry. And then finally, just I think I mentioned earlier as well, you know, just having that clear career pathway and that roadmap for progression, it's something that certainly appealed to me, and it's something that I've benefited from during my time at FinTrU. So yeah, all in all, I think it's a great opportunity. I would definitely encourage people to take a close look.
Great, thanks Jamie. And Leanne, why should someone apply for a legal career at FinTrU?
Yeah, thanks, Paul. I suppose both the guys there have covered so much. So I suppose just to reiterate, you know, what they've said, and I know Jamie had touched on it there, you know, for me, it comes down to the personal and professional growth, and the career progression. You know, I've been in roles where I've kind of felt like I've reached my peak. But, you know, at FinTrU, there's just continuous learning and growth. You know, I think maybe Claire had mentioned no 2 days are really the same. And I'm coming up just on 2 years here now at FinTrU, and I'm only now beginning my IOC exams. And that's just down to the fact, you know, I'm now ready. I now feel ready to undertake these. Yeah, so the career path, you know, it's very clearly laid out. You know what you need to do, and what you need to be achieving, to reach that next step. And again, I suppose there's such a wide range of projects ongoing within legal. You know, so depending on your current legal experience, you'll have the chance, you know, to be involved in a project where you're going to thrive. And you know, then there's not to mention, you know, there's great benefits here at FinTrU, and then, you know, the flexibility around, you know, remote working, the social aspect of it, and then, you know, being part of just the massive growth within the company. You know, Jamie had mentioned the 800 or 900 that started over the past couple of years. So I suppose, yeah, that kind of would summarize the reasons for me, Paul.
Brilliant, that's great. Thanks, Leanne, and thank you to Claire and Jamie as well for your time today. Thank you also to everyone for attending. Please send any questions that you may have. You might think of a question after this webinar that you didn't get a chance to ask. So please send any questions that you may have to careers@fintru.com, and we'll make sure that you get a response to that. We have some great opportunities for people with legal experience who are looking for a career at FinTrU. Applications for our FinTrU Legal Reignite Programme close on Sunday, the 28th of November, and more information can be found via our website at fintru.com/reignite. As I mentioned at the top of this webinar, candidates who are successful in applying for the programme will join FinTrU on the 10th of January 2022 and undertake an intensive in-house training programme to fully prepare you for a legal role within one of our growing project teams working for a Tier 1 global investment bank. If you want to be kept up to date with the latest career opportunities with FinTrU, then please sign up for our email newsletter on our careers webpage. Thank you again, everyone, for attending today, and I hope you have a lovely afternoon. Thanks.